Dad never liked to brag about himself. He routinely managed projects valued in the tens of millions, but if asked about his work, he'd say something like, "I work at a paper mill." He made no effort in proclaiming his own excellence, but those who knew him understood his many skills and genial nature. But in remembering him, I want to shine a spotlight on some of Dad's many virtues. I'll do so in the form of an Old West brag, the same kind of speech that frontiersmen like Davy Crockett and Daniel Boon had written to proclaim their own excellence. I hope that you'll enjoy with me this humor and these memories of Marc Olson, larger than life. Marc Olson's brag, my pa. "What's that you say? Think you're the toughest keeler in these parts? Well, you ain't heard of my pa, Mark. He's the very infant who spanked the doctor right back afore taking his first breath, whose mother saw that rose glint in his eye after 10,000 acts of mischief. Airborne pancakes, homemade explosives, pet gators, and hills on fire. Woo! You'd spot the shine of his golden high school mop 10 miles off, and you'd see that slick talker make 10 friends a minute. By plane, by boat, by bus, by train, at work, and scouts, no one a stranger. And for the schoolgirls there was no fresher catnip. No sooner did he crack his winning grin than their hearts were won. I challenge you to name a single Boy Scout who'd pitch a tent half as fast as Pa, sleep a quarter as soundly on roots and rocks, and have an eighth as much fun doing it. He'd carry a pack his own size and hike the hills of Philmont, easy as a stroll in his own backyard. Half spring-legged colt, half rough-horned mountain goat. On trail, off trail, it didn't matter. He'd best any hiker on both sides of the old Mississippi. And when the park rangers bet he couldn't cover so long a distance, 17 miles a day for a week, he hiked to prove them wrong and mailed them his socks. There never was a Puget Sound mariner to match my pa. Building boats, burning boats, sinking boats. As a college youth, he made the sea his mistress. And no untouched moonscape deep below the blue waves could deny my pa. A harsh beer and a dive in that ice-cold sound was to him mild tea and a warm bath. And his skill with the solemn water ski made my mother swoon. He'd turn on a dime and rip a rooster tail like the blast of a geyser. Working with wood there was no better than Pa. He could sniff out a free cord of wood 10 miles off, and one lick of his axe would let in an acre of sunshine. He'd make the most ornery piece of wood his servant, start a fire with it in a downpour, turn it into a bowl, build with it a deck, a barn, a catapult. And no one could tell him that's too much wood. In his presence that wood bowed, said yes sir, and put itself to use. But what's that, you ask? How tough was my pa? Tough enough to belt sand his sternum down to the bone and refuse a doctor. Tough enough to catch a spinning chainsaw by the blade to save his wife. Tough enough for the 11-degree Finland winter where he ran in nothing but his shirt and running tights. Tough enough to refuse all but the weakest pain meds coming out of heart surgery. Tough enough to fight ALS tooth and nail for 2 long years, choosing the hard path over the easy one at every turn. That's how tough my pa was to chaw. That's why he's the cream of the crop, the best of the best, an inspiration larger than life, and more dear to those who knew him than he'll ever know. Heaven's gotta be lively since Pa rode into town. The big man has his work cut out for him.